Let me just welcome our group out on our journey. We are collectively following the company, so we are like the company of 308 subscribers
308.
following the company of 9. So together,
we
that
make
makes us
317.
317. A company of 317, ever growing.
And yeah, you know what? You're not tasked. You can leave anytime you want to.
You can leave anytime, or you could tell all your friends.
But the more the merrier, really, on this one, because Frodo's got a Mithril shirt that's worth a lot of money, and he's gonna
buy us all drinks.
Yeah, at the end of this thing.
But here's the thing. I think we've been very patient with this book that we love, because the first half and more of the book, it's kind of on a simmer, I think, like of Fellowship.
Yeah.
It's not high adventure just yet. I mean, they're running from some Black Riders, but as they start to go into the mines of Moria,
don't forget the snow that they just had to fight.
they fought off some snow. They fought off bugs in the Midgewater, but it's never been
Old Man Willow.
They fought off a tree.
Some whites, but it wasn't like
but the whites were kind of half dead anyway.
Yeah,
they fought off some tree branches. So it needless to say, it hasn't been all that much that you'd be really excited to write home to Bilbo about.
Right, but here's the thing. I think
so far
that like it up to this point, Lord of the Rings has not lived up to its heavy metal.
You were getting at that.
This is not metal yet, but
as we turn the page into this new chapter called Journey in the Dark, and especially the next chapter, Bridge of Khazad-dûm, it gets extremely metal.
Yeah, this is the most metal it's been. Like, if this were a band, who would this be?
Well, first of all, we would have to ask how much more metal could it be? And the answer is none.
Well, this chapter can actually be a little bit more metal. I think the only metal about this chapter was watching the water, and
that is pretty metal.
Yeah, that is metal as crap. But anyway,
nothing compares to the metal of the encounter with the Balrog, which is coming.
Right. That is so that is like the most heavy metal. Like, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, actually, you know what this is? You know what this has been?
Yes.
This has been like Led Zeppelin, Lord of the Rings, up to this point. You know what I'm saying?
It's been like
Ramble On,
Battle of Evermore.
Yeah, a little bit. Not even that.
It's been
I think it's more Ramble On.
It's been acoustics and mandolins.
Yeah, maybe an electric guitar every once in a while, but this is about to get like dropped, like 7-string, like Meshuggah type metal.
It's about to get gent.
Absolutely. Okay. Now that that's out of the way.
Okay, now that that's out of the way, people understand what's going to happen. Hey, before we go full metal though, I do want to say one more thing about Ringo South. Can we say?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So this is just a quick scene at the very end of Ringo South where they're kind of carrying the hobbits out of the snow. Right. And we kind of talked about a little bit about this. And it says, after a while, Boromir returned carrying Sam, carrying him through the snow. Behind, in the narrow but now well-trodden track, came Gandalf, leading Bill with Gimli perched among the baggage. Last came Aragorn carrying Frodo.
All right.
Why do you think Tolkien made Aragorn carry Frodo?
I think because, if I had to guess, it's probably more to do with the importance of what Frodo's carrying, and I don't think they really fully trusted everybody at this point.
Exactly, because it could have just as well been Boromir carry Frodo, but I think like Tolkien, and through him in a fictional sense, Aragorn and Gandalf probably thought in the back of their minds, like, yeah, I don't completely trust Boromir carrying Frodo.
Well, you know what that makes Aragorn, right?
A ring bearer.
A ring bearer.
They should do that, like at the very end of Lord of the Rings, where Sam goes to the Grey Havens, and departs into the mist, sails into the west, and it says "Last of the Ring Bearers," and then when Aragorn's about to die or whenever,
he like does it. I was a ring bearer, and like
he dies, and Tolkien's like, "Lost of the Ring Bearers."
Ring bearers. Anybody who picked up Frodo or Bilbo,
whoever. Oh,
it was
Bill.
a ring bearer.
Do you think Frodo wrote Bill?
Yeah.
Must
did he?
Yeah, he's a ring bearer. This is
Yeah,
something Bill and Aragorn having.
He wrote Bill during like when he got stabbed, right? They put him on top of the pony.
Yeah, well, he must have rode a pony at some point. So
yeah, but he rode Bill. Like they had to put him
Bill.
like they put him on the back of Bill.
Glorfindel put Frodo on the back of his horse.
So Glorfindel's horse is a ring bearer.
Glorfindel's horse is a ring bearer. So Bill, Glorfindel's horse, and Aragorn. In fact, you could ask that at parties. Like,
let me ask
you
this:
what do Glorfindel's horse, Bill, and Aragorn have in common? If you go to any Lord of the Rings themed parties,
yes, yeah,
I know you do.
At least once every 2 weeks.
You say, what do these people have in common? And the answer will be their ring bearers.
Well, let me ask you this trick question: Gwahir, was he a ring bearer? Because he bore the ring bearer, but he didn't have the ring.
After the ring, so that would get an asterisk. He was a ring bearer after the ring bearer had lost or deposited the ring.
I mean, when you really think about it, not only was Sam a ring bearer, but he was a ring bearer too.
He was probably the only one who was both a ring bearer and a ring bearer.
There you go.
Ooh, I wonder if anyone could be considered a ring bearer. Was there ever a moment when Sam was carrying Frodo that maybe?
Well, Sam didn't say, like, there wasn't a time when Sam was carrying Frodo and then Gollum jumped on Frodo, so he's a ring bearer squared.
Because Gollum is also a ring bearer.
Gollum was a ring bearer.
So Sam is a ring bearer and a ring bearer and a ring bearer.
Yeah, ring bearer.
It's
ring
a
bearer squared. Yeah.
Well, now that we got that settled.
Now that we got that out of the way.
Okay, so yeah, I noticed that. I think you noticed it too. Is like that Aragorn is carrying Frodo. They didn't trust Boromir with Frodo, and now Aragorn's a ring bearer.
Yep, Aragorn.
Okay, well, that's the last of the that chapter.
Okay, so that closes that out.
And speaking of ring bearers, Sam is he's given surprisingly a lot of attention here. Like as they approach the gate of Moria.
Right.
And I'm kind of like thinking that he's already kind of distinguishing himself. And I've never really noticed this before, but he's distinguishing himself both as the most emotional of the group. You know what I mean? Like when Gandalf tells Frodo that they're going to have to get rid of Bill, like he has a freaking aneurysm.
Right.
And everyone else just seems to be like, it's just a pony.
Yeah.
Why do you think like Sam is so attached to Bill? Other than they're a ring bearer.
Sam knows like, no, I got to carry that crap that pony's been carrying because I'm Sam and I just got to take everything. You know what I'm saying? Like Sam becomes the de facto beast of burden now, you know?
That's true. But I don't think that's the reason. I think he loves Bill. But you're right. I mean, but I think he sees himself. I mean, Sam has always been the more earthy or the most earthy, and he's kind of like the lower. This is again Tolkien's strange like social hierarchy thing kicking in where
Yeah.
he really admires these working class people that, we talked about the Batman
Yep.
from World War One, which were the helpers of the kind of the more upper class officer class
Right.
in the war. And so the Batman, and in this case, which, Sam is kind of the Batman for Frodo,
Right.
bears his luggage and stuff, and is seen as like more earthy, more in touch with nature, and therefore is just kind of more of a raw emotional person. Whereas these kind of more, higher people on the socioeconomic ladder, like an Aragorn or something, he doesn't seem to be all that emotionally invested in a beast like a
Right.
Bill.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
But what's funny though too? It's like, again, like talking about the Sam being attached to Bill. Like, in contrast to the movie, like they had Sam turn Bill away. Like when they, Bill was basically turned loose before they went into the mines of Moria. Like in the movie, Gandalf didn't whisper like a protection spell, which is kind of what he did.
A protection spell like "Go home to Rivendell, you'll be okay."
You can see ways where you can find grass. So come in time to Elrond's house, wherever you wish to go. Basically, he it was, for lack of a better term, a spell of protection that he put on, and it worked.
Yes,
really,
it did. Of course,
you know.
And he's quite right in saying that Bill, don't get all choked up about Bill. He has just as much of a chance of escaping the wolves and getting home as we have.
Yeah,
and he's quite right. But that didn't stop Sam from. It says Sam stood sullenly by the pony and to return no answer. Bill, seeming to understand well what was going on, nuzzled up to him, putting his nose to Sam's ear. Sam burst into tears and fumbled with the straps unlaying all the pony's packs, throwing them on the ground. So he's having like a little fit.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just
Sam is.
Yeah, Sam's having a little fit.
Kind of have a breakdown.
He's having a breakdown. He is.
Right.
I mean, but it just shows so much about his character. It's just a strange dichotomy because on the one hand, Sam seems like the most easily ruffled, right? Because he's emotional about Bill, right? But at the same time, when they do get attacked by the Watcher in the water, up into the gateway, up the stairs, quick, shouted Gandalf, leaping back, rousing them from the horror that seemed to have rooted all but Sam to the ground where they stood.
Right.
He drove them forward. So everyone else was just horrified and stunned by the Watcher in the water. What is this creepy creature coming out of this water? But Sam was the only one who had the presence of mind and the courage to kind of keep his wits about him, which is just interesting because like when the going gets tough, he's there for you, but he's also the most emotionally fragile. I know people like this. It's really strange.
In this little scene right here, Sam's the only one who actually he saved Frodo.
So I'm curious because we don't see much of this Watcher in the water other than the tentacles,
right?
And so it's left to the imagination what the rest of it looks like,
right?
And I always envisioned it to be something like, what was that creature? I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy in the world, but
the in the garbage.
The sand beast.
Oh, the Sarlacc.
The Sarlacc.
Yeah.
That they almost put the Han Solo in. Was it Han
Solo?
Yeah,
the one that swallowed Boba Fett.
The one that swallowed Boba Fett. Yeah, that guy. So like tentacles, but at some point there's got to be some kind of intake, some kind of mouth on this thing.
Well,
a creature with
Jackson
sharp fangs.
In the Jackson version, they made him look very Lovecraftian. Do you know what I'm saying? It was very like, oh, look, it's Cthulhu.
Which wasn't too out of the realm of what I kind of was imagining to a certain
extent. Right. But again, I mean, again, it was a good. I remember feeling vaguely like one of the few times I was disappointed or kind of like, why did they make that choice? Was the Watcher in the Water, and that.
Why was that?
Because there was nothing left of the imagination. Like,
oh, right.
There's the Watcher in the Water. That's and it didn't feel very Lord of the Rings.
I'll have to go rewatch that because I don't remember having an opinion on that. Maybe.
Yeah, no, because I remember it was cool. Don't get me wrong, and it did its thing. But I just remember thinking like, oh, they could have made that different. I always like less is more. I think that's why Jaws works so well. It's like you never really saw the shark until
Right. Yeah,
like
Jackson.
anything under the water is infinitely more scary than actually seeing, because when you go to Jaws, when you finally saw the shark, it's like, oh, that looks cool. Not as scary as
the fin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Let's speculate if the Watcher in the Water were able to bring Frodo down under that water with it, and presumably eat Frodo. So yeah, like there's fingers.
Can I?
Yeah.
The Watcher in the Water is a ring bearer.
It is. It's a ring bearer. Well, there's a lot of these things. Yes,
I know.
But I guess it doesn't make you invisible.
Yeah, well, I mean, let me ask you this. Okay, so if the Watcher in the Water ate Frodo, and now he's like, in fact, does have the ring inside of him, or her, it, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Would it become invisible? The invisible Watcher in the Water, and now, all of a sudden, watch out!
Wow. You know how the story of Jonah and the whale?
They do.
I don't.
I
mean, I don't know it well, but know
that Jonah got swallowed by a whale and kind of lived in the whale's belly,
and was able to live somehow in the whale's belly. Yeah, that's my assumption.
You know what? Better analogy: Pinocchio, because
maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
maybe I'm thinking of Pinocchio.
Yeah, Pinocchio
but the idea that you can live in this cavernous whale's belly, and there might even be things that you could eat and kind of gain sustenance on, there's some seaweed and some jellyfish and stuff you can eat if you were desperate.
Right.
But you know what you would see maybe if you could survive in a Watcher in the Water's belly?
No.
You'd see Owen.
Oh, you might.
Because wasn't Owen eaten by the Watcher in the Water?
Yeah, he was taken by the Watcher in the Water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if what if Frodo came down there and was like, "Oh, there's Owen. Hey, what's up? You knew my cousin Bilbo."
Well, I don't know if he would know. Well, the thing is, you don't know that Owen. You didn't really find out that Owen was taken by the Watcher in the Water until they went to the Chamber of Marzible, right?
Right. But once he found out that, right?
Hello, it's hey, who are you?
Who are you?
I'm
Frodo Baggins.
Frodo Baggins. Any relation to Bilbo, and then maybe they can.
He's both my second, third, and ninth cousin, twice removed, 5 times removed.
That would be funny, though. I mean, again, it would depend. I think with the Jackson, I don't think it was big enough to fit Frodo down his gaping maw. I think that, again, that's where the imagination would be there could be a huge possibility that Frodo could live, and
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 they and Frodo could still have a ring, and they could be like, hey, Owen, you and I can get out of here. We just need to somehow sneak out of his nostril or something.
It's if only this thing would swallow some wood. We could
some flint and tinder.
Some flint and wood. We could, even if we had wood, they could rub 2 sticks together.
Some pepper. We could blow.
I know that's great. But like I said, I think that no, that would be quite interesting.
But maybe we shouldn't assume that the Watcher was trying to eat Frodo. Maybe he just wanted to play with Frodo, or maybe
it's I need a pet for my pet.
Yeah, or maybe there's an underwater like a garden, like an octopus's garden in the shade, and they could sing and dance around because they know they can't be found.
Right.
Could be
Watch your garden in the underneath the
Under,
the stinky lake.
underneath the stagnant pond of Cyrenon.
Right. Hey, just real quick before we like go into Moria and after we come out of the watching the waters belly, can we talk about the gates? Okay, so one, I always felt that again watching the scene and reading the scene when I was a kid, watching the scene as from the Bakshi cartoon and reading the scene, it felt not comedic, but almost. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm.
Like they're like, oh, here we are, and then Gandalf's like, I don't know I don't know the password yet, you know, but it's got to be some kind of whatever, and like you
There are,
kind of
yeah.
you
Well,
kind of see him going through the process.
well, speaking of the gate, real quick, the
Okay,
we're looking before we get to the riddle itself.
right.
You approach the gate, and if you've read The Hobbit, once again you're getting deja vu because it's some kind of magic dwarf gate that only
Yeah.
opens under certain circumstances,
Well, with
like
this, it's
stand
like
by the stone where the thrush knocks.
stand by the grey stone when the thrush knocks, and the last light of the setting sun of Durin's day will shine upon the
Shine upon the
keyhole.
keyhole. But it's like Tolkien is like, I'm going into a subterranean dwarf lair. I need to have a magic door that opens under certain conditions, and like it's very Tolkien-esque. It's telling
Right,
you to
right.
read
Very,
Tolkien.
very magical. But it's again, so what I felt when Gandalf was trying to figure out like the password, it was kind of like he's going through all these spells. He was like, doing all this stuff. He was overthinking it, but it was funny that he was overthinking it. And he was like kind of getting like a little bit
Flustered.
perturbed. Yeah,
Yes.
everybody was kind of getting flustered. It's like, oh, and in the Jackson movie, Frodo figured out that it says, speak friend and enter. He's like, it's a riddle. It's me like, what's friend in Elvish? And then, Gandalf gives that and then it opens a door. You know what I'm talking about? It
Oh, in
wasn't
the
like
movie?
in the movie. Yeah. It's like Frodo
Right.
figures out
Well,
this
in the book, I
riddle. Like
think they said Mary was the closest to
Harry
figuring
was
it
the
out.
closest, but he was like, what
He
do they
was on the
mean by
right
speak?
track.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like it's a stretch because he's like,
Yeah.
what do they mean, speak friend and enter?
Right.
And again,
Well,
I was like, obviously, if you're a friend, you speak in the password and you enter,
he was
whatever it
right to
was.
ask what that particular line,
Right. He was on
what
the
how it
phrase.
was intended, and that was the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
question. Yeah.
Right. And but it's just again, it's like, and I suppose that in the movie you had to give the hobbits something to do because again, they're kind of they're not pulling their weight right now. You know what I'm saying? Like
No,
they're kind of they are burdensome in
they're
a
a
lot of ways.
liability. Yes.
Yeah, they are a liability. But in the like I said, in the Jackson movie, Frodo's like, oh wait, it's Riddle. Like Gandalf's like, oh, like Frodo, you're so smart. Look at you, you clever young lad. Again, and the whole idea that Gan like in the backsheet film and in the book, he's like like all of a sudden he's like, oh my god, I'm so stupid. And, Gandalf, you old fool,
R-
Melon. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Right.
Like almost like it was like this. And again, I felt that summed up Gandalf way better. You know what I'm talking about? Because I just felt that it was not weird, but it was unnecessary for Jackson to make that choice. I think so.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that even reading Lord of the Rings for the first time. When granted you're kind of young and you're new to Lord of the Rings, and it's a little disorienting. You don't remember who everyone is sometimes when there's like
Yeah.
lots of people mentioned. But I remember even as a young person that that moment of speak friend and enter was like it worked. It was like a riddle
Yeah.
that makes sense. It solves itself. It's like a moment of like, oh, I get it. That's funny. Speak friend, and then you use the
It's like,
Elvish word for friend. It kind of like is as like it works just like the riddles in the dark work.
yeah.
It's like it's a game almost. You're playing a
Yeah.
game. It has its own logic, and it's just like Tolkien. It's like he loves putting those things in, and it just
Look,
makes the
man,
story juicier.
this is like the blueprint for every RPG ever. Like, speak friend. I'm a friend. I'm going to speak. Like, wait a minute. Like, that eureka moment.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, all hell broke loose, and that was like kind of like the the first metal moment of
Yeah. Being
like
attacked by a multi-tentacled swamp monster.
right. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
just